Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare Hai Bo Hai Bo Hare Rama
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of Glorious Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-Lila chapter 2 verse 19, and the chapter is entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the class will be given by His Grace Praksha Prabhu from ISKCON Harrisburg. Without further delay, we will jump right into the class. And it's all yours. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dadi Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dadi Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dadi Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Ivadadari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranindana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranindana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Sharadhyari Radha Sharadhyari Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Balaji Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranikai Jaya Gauranikai Jaya Gauranikai Jaya Gauranikai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Jai Om Vishnupad Supreme Vajikacharya Stotra Sata Sushimara's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Supreme Vajikacharya Stotra Sata Sushimara's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Adanta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivachari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare Go. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, Gaura Shri Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Nityananda. Namaste. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jai Hare Krishna Guru. So this morning's class is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi-Lila, chapter 2, text 19. Anantaspatike yaiche eka surya vase Taicha jiva govindera amsha prakashe Anantaspatike yaiche eka surya vase Chaitya Jiva Govindera Amsha Prakashe Anantas Patike Yaiche Eka Surya Base Chaitya Jiva Govindera Amsha Prakashe. Hare Krishna. Anyone who wants to chant can do so now.
अनंतस्पति के यचे एक सूर्य भासे तैचे जीवे गोविंदेरा अंश प्रकाशे
Anantespati ke yeche eka surya base, taiche jive govindera amsa prakashe.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Ananta, unlimited. Sphatike, in crystals. Yaiche, just as. Eka, one. Surya, sun. Bhase, appears. Taiche, just so. Jive, in the living entity. Govindera, of Govinda. Amsha, portion. Prakashe, manifests. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. Report by Srila Prabhupada. As the one sun, the sun is situated in a specific location, but is reflected in countless jewels and appears in innumerable localized aspects. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although eternally present in his transcendental abode Goloka Vrindavan, is reflected in everyone's heart as a supersoul. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Diva, living entity, and the Paramatma, supersoul, are like two birds sitting in the same tree. The supersoul engages the living being in executing fruitive work as a result of his deeds in the past. But the Paramatma has nothing to do with such engagements. As soon as the living being ceases to act in terms of fruitive work and takes to the service of a Lord, the Paramatma, coming to know of his supremacy, he is immediately freed from all designations, and in that pure state, he enters the kingdom of God known as Vaikuntha. The Paramatma or Supersoul, the guide of the individual living beings, does not take part in fulfilling the desires of living beings, but he arranges for their fulfillment by material nature. As soon as an individual soul becomes conscious of its eternal relationship with the Supersoul and looks only toward him, he at once becomes free from the entanglements of material enjoyment. Christian philosophers who do not believe in the law of karma put forward the argument that it is absurd to say one must accept the results of his past deeds of which he has no consciousness. A criminal is first reminded of his misdeeds by witnesses in a law court, and then he is punished. If death is complete forgetfulness, why should a person be punished for his past misdeeds? The conception of a Paramatma is an invincible answer to these fallacious arguments. The Paramatma is a witness of the past activities of the individual living being. A man may not remember what he has done in his childhood, but his father, who has seen him grow through different stages of development, certainly remembers. Similarly, the living being undergoes many changes of body through many lives, but the Supersoul is always with him and remembers all his activities, despite his evolution through different bodies. Oma Gyanativiranyasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Umlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vita Patakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Cha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhescha Kripasinibhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Pastatyari Sitarini. Mo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha. Adi-Lila Maya Vigrahaya Himavya Divachi Sundaraya. Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So the English translation for the text again. As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. Krishna is with us in his partial manifestation as a Paramatma. And that is being explained here. Govinda, who gives pleasure to the cows and also to the senses, that is the meaning of Govinda. Krishna is known by many names, and he's all-pervading by his feature as Paramatma. He can be everywhere, but he is everywhere, because even in all the atoms, Paramatma is there. Everything in the universes, the material world has Paramatma. So Paramatma is also, this is by Krishna's mercy, is very, very merciful in that it follows us from one lifetime to another. That is why Sri Prabhupada was talking in the purport, later in the purport, making an argument that a child may grow up and may forget the childhood times. Most of us are in that same category. You've grown up, the time you were 2 years old, you don't know what you did. 3 years old, you don't know what you did because you're 50 now. But the father and mother that were present from a baby time up can remember a lot of those things, and sometimes can even remind you when you were this year old, or when we were here and you were this small, this is what you did, this is what you said. When you were learning to speak, this is what you called a particular word when you were trying to learn how to pronounce it. So all of those information, those things have actually happened. And so the Paramatma follows us from lifetime to lifetime. So we may forget things that we did in previous lives, but the Paramatma, the Supreme Parent, does not forget. And so by our activity going from one lifetime to another, the Paramatma's feature, one of the responsibilities is to allow, Paramatma supervises what we do, but he also makes things that we desire come to fruition through material nature. And it doesn't mean like a big lofty future desire, that's there. But even the simple things going from one thing to another with our own senses, what we want to do, at different times, we may want to look at different things or may look different places. And Paramatma allows us to be able to use our senses for that purpose. Without the Paramatma, we really couldn't, whatever we're equipped with. Remember, this body is not really alive. It's the soul that gives consciousness. And the Paramatma is the super soul, which is super soul, who is overlooking everything that happens. So then the translation is, as the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, to the sunshine, that is, the sunshine, which is from the sun's rays from the sun, go into different jewels, different things, and the reflection is so seen. And therefore we say, oh, okay, this jewel is nice and it's bright and it puts out this particular color. But the color is basically one that's reflected. The other ones are absorbed with the different colors of the light of the sun. There are different colors together form the white light. But they are just combination of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, all of that's there. And when it gets reflected, sometimes you see it as a rainbow, but it's the same sun, and those colors together are reflected. So depending on which object that the sun hits and the constitution of that particular object, this time we're talking about jewels, because jewels actually reflect sun nicely. And they look very nice depending on the type of effulgence that comes out and the color that comes with it too. And so the super soul, the Lord manifests himself as Paramatma in all the hearts of living beings. The sun is there, manifested by how the jewels reflected. It's the reflection of the jewels that show that appearance of the sun, the sun's rays. So in purpose, the Prabhupada said, the sun is situated in a specific location. We can look up to see the sun at a particular location, but we also feel its rays and its heat also, everywhere. So Sri Prabhupada says the sun is situated in a specific location, but it's reflected in countless jewels. And it appears in innumerable localized aspects. So not only jewels, of course, jewels give a particular reflection. And that's why people like the way, jewels look, and sometimes they decorate themselves with it, with the jewels. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he's present at one place, his transcendental abode, Goloka Vrindavan, is reflected in everyone's heart as the super soul. And so then Sri Prabhupada continues to talk about the function of the Diva, living entity, and the Paramatma. Divatma, Paramatma. The living entity, the soul, and the super soul. So the analogy given in the Upanishads, like two birds sitting in the same tree. One is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other one is observing. Now, actually, the one that's eating the fruit of the tree, the Jiva Atma, the living entity, cannot even eat the fruit of the tree unless the super soul allows that to happen. So super soul may be observing in fact that he doesn't take part in the eating of the fruits of the tree. But the possibility, it's only made possible, the eating of a tree by the Jiva is made possible by permission of the Paramatma. So then Sri Prabhupada describes it, the super soul engages a living being in executing fruity work as a result of the past deeds, karma. But the Paramatma has nothing to do with such engagements. So the work that's being done, or whatever they're enjoying or suffering because of a deed of that individual personality or soul or entity, the Paramatma has nothing to do with the activity itself, but he permits, though, the activity to occur as the Jivatma desires that they want it. So this can go on, and one lifetime person enjoys and suffers based on what's happened and the activities that they perform. You get a particular body, and activities are given, allowed, and you go on allowed because the Paramatma will have to allow it, just like we just talked about. And then you go on, and then it gets to a point where the person has to leave the body, and based on what their desires are, other desires, and desires that have not yet been allowed to happen because of the body that they had and the things that were supposed to happen. So some of the things that I've done in the past are put on hold. And the next body, other things may be allowed to occur then. So karma is quite intricate. The fruits that we reap from what we've sowed. Now, so this goes on, and therefore, it's in the Shastra, the soul passes through different sizes, baby, then youth, then a grown-up, then an old person. And so the soul goes through all of these. In the physical body, the soul remains the same, and the super soul is there also. So as the body is acting and is getting older and older and older, as a matter of fact, it's based on the number of breaths for the life, the number of breaths. So there's so many breaths you take, and when you take your last breath, then, if you lived a full life, then the last breath means, as an old body, the Tadehantara Prapti, the Restatana Muhyati. Similarly, when the body is finished, then you have another body is there for the next life. And then based on what the karma is, or things, activities in the past, and the desire at the time of leaving the body, then you get put in another body. And as far as getting put in another body, you have no choice. It is arranged by the transcendental system, the Lord's agents. So if they decide that a person who was in the human body has acted in a mode of ignorance, and they're going to be in a dog body next life, and the soul is well aware of what's getting ready to happen, it says, oh, no, I don't like being a dog. I don't like being a dog. No barking for me, please. They're going to say, no. Papa said, you'll be forced to go in the dog body. And so this is a sober point that we have to be thinking about. We shouldn't act this. As a matter of fact, one funny statement, my senior older god sister, Madan Rani. So Madan Rani was Girinagri. And at that time, we were there also. And, as old bodies, we get challenged health-wise. So Madan Rani had to, at some point, leave the Dham. And she went through some medical procedure. I don't remember exactly what, actually didn't ask about it. But she had to be cared for in a home for older people, had to recover. And so it wasn't too far. It was only about 15 minutes or so from Girinagri down. So it was right around the same area. And she would come out in the morning. It was warm at that time. She'd come out and there was a bench, and you sit there and chant her rounds, and rounds of japa. And then there were some ducks that were in a little stream nearby. And so she'd be chanting and she'd be watching, sometimes. And then one day, and this is she herself came back, Girinagri was telling us that, I'm kind of laughing about it because of how she ended it. But one day she came out with a bead bag and she sat there and she looked at the stream and there were no ducks. And she goes, oh, what's happening? She was quite surprised. Where are the ducks? Every day they're here, today they're not here. And she said, she immediately got pricked by his intelligence. Oh, you're thinking about a duck? What, you want to be a duck your next life? The way she's, hey, what is this all fella? because she was older. She was in the 80s at the time. And so, people like that, they know that the body can, quit at any time. The soul can leave the body at any time. And she was well aware of the fact that what you're thinking of at the time you leave your body, that is the body that would be arranged for you to be in. What you're thinking of. And so he immediately got concerned, wait a minute, if she's so excited about seeing the ducks and the ducks are not there and it's changed her mood a little bit, the intelligence is saying, be careful. If you think too much about the duck, then they may put you in a duck body next life. And I remember this is a lecture at Giranage by my spiritual master, his Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Swami, and he came to the questions section. She made this statement after she had returned from that recovery place that she was at. So it was funny, but it's a reminder. It's actually a stark reminder that we have to be careful what you think, because the dominant thoughts will come to your mind at the time of death. And that's why we have to make sure that our dominant thought is Krishna thoughts. And one of the easiest ways to remember Krishna is to keep Krishna's name on your tongue and in your mind all the time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, as soon as the individual soul becomes conscious of its eternal relationship with the super soul, and now turns his attention to the super soul, he at once becomes free from the entanglement of material enjoyment. So in the tree, the soul, the individual, the Jiva Atma, is trying to eat the fruits of the tree and trying to go for what is sweet, material enjoyment. And the super soul does not stop him. But as long as the super soul is there, and finally the soul turns around and says, this is not what I need to be doing. My attention should be focused on Krishna. That's the same as turning and now looking at the eternal relationship with the super soul. And Srila Prabhupada says, the person becomes free from the entanglement of material enjoyment. So when we turn our attention to Krishna, it also means that Krishna's instructions will be followed. Just to look at Krishna is not enough. Just to look at the deity is not enough. Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga is action. And so when we perform duties given to us, the regular ones, as well as anything that occurs in a temple, from activities, from programs, and we all pitch in to try to assist before the program, during the program, after the program. All of those are spiritual credits that amount to our thinking more of Krishna, and Krishna sweetens our Krishna consciousness, sweetens. The soul becomes happy the more we serve. Sometimes it will be a little bit of a strain on the physical body, depending on the kind of service that we may do, the length of it, or maybe some things that we have to handle. But still, we have to do our very best in all situations. It's also very important to turn towards the Paramatma at all times. How? By being around souls who also have turned towards the Paramatma, and that is Sadhu Sangha. Engaging our attention in relating to other devotees. All entities have souls and super soul. All entities do. But those who are not Krishna conscious are not, they're not turning their attention to the Paramatma. They are eating the fruits of the tree, trying to have material enjoyment. Even though there are problems with that, whatever the fruit of that tree is, it is not totally sweet. Some things would give problems. The kleshas are there. The troubles are there. Trouble from one's own mind, trouble from the weather, trouble from other living entities who are also trying to live, that feed on us, that is germs, and cause us suffering, but they are living entities also trying to live. And so this material world is set up in such a way that if one becomes intelligent enough to see what's going on, they're going to realize that this is not a place that you're going to be totally happy. In fact, what is called material enjoyment is actually suffering that's disguised as enjoyment. It's disguised as enjoyment. Because it only gives some pleasure to the senses for a short while. And then there is some negative thing that one has to pay for. Anything that you try to do with this physical body, you can't overdo it. Even if you say you enjoy it, you do it too many times, it becomes painful. Anything, you just name anything, it becomes painful. The body is like that. It's very limited. There's limited and imperfect senses. And so its activities are limited. But the consciousness, and the best consciousness, I should say, is Krishna consciousness. When a person turns, they realize, oh, this is not home. And what I'm trying to do will not give me happiness in the end. Whatever the karma is that I have to deal with, let this end. And the best thing is to let it end this lifetime. Now, speaking about this lifetime, how to make it end, we will talk about it a little later. And it's very, very important that what Sri Prabhupada made the point. A criminal is first reminded about his misdeeds by witnesses in a court, and then he's punished. So that's there unless we turn our attention to Krishna consciousness. Now, when we get to Krishna consciousness, then by the mercy of the Lord, now we're beginning to be guided. And if we take the guidance, the instructions, then Krishna begins to give the mercy. The mercy will be there. Paramatma will help, and Paramatma is very, very happy that now the Diva has turned to him and is looking now to him for direction. And the Paramatma will definitely encourage a person in Krishna consciousness to stay in Krishna consciousness and do what it takes on a daily basis so that the person can grow and get out. So, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 15, there's a section of the purport about the Paramatma. Srila Prabhupada said, the Lord is a constant companion of a living entity as Paramatma, or the Supersoul. And Supersoul is also Purusha Avatar. Speaking about avatars. So, he can understand the desires of the individual soul. Just like you have a flower and you come near the flower, there's a particular flavor. So the Paramatma is next to the Jiva Atma, and the Paramatma understands the desires. Whatever the flavor will be like the desire. And the Paramatma can in fact smell it and say, all right, so this is what they want. This particular soul wants this, and he gives it. So desire, as Papa says, it's a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want that. And the Lord fulfills his desire, just like it said, man proposes and God disposes. Man desires and God, and the Paramatma allows it to happen. So the individual himself cannot fulfill the desires. The Lord allows the desires to be fulfilled. Now, so in that case, from that standpoint, the Lord is neutral to everyone. He doesn't interfere. You want a particular desire, you say, okay, go on. But then if it's a bad desire, the warning will be given that you could pay for it. You will pay for it, Actually, you could pay for it, it's just a warning, so that you can change your mind if it is a bad thing. But you will, in fact, pay for it if you do the wrong thing. If you do the right thing, of course, it's counted as positive for you. And if you do the wrong thing, it's counted as negative. So then the karma just builds up. And the next body will do one thing. And speaking about that, so in Hastinapur, the Dhritarashtra, who was the uncle for the Pandavas, the older brother of Maharaj Pandu, he was concerned one time about his blindness. He was actually concerned all of the time about his blindness, born blind. And he thought he was, being the elder, the one to get the throne, and he was bypassed because he was blind. And that hurt his feelings. And so later on, when Pandu died and he became king, then he said, all right, well, I should have been given the kingdom anyway. And so my son should be, they should continue like that. And this is the problems that happened in the Kurukshetra war. But anyway, his blindness, he knew Vasudeva Sri Krishna knew everything. And so he asked to be reminded, why? Why in this lifetime, Krishna, am I blind? And then Krishna reminded him, said, all right, 50 lifetimes ago, 50 lifetimes ago, you were a hunter. And you were in the forest, and you saw a nest, and you knew there were birds in the nest, in the tree. And you aimed an arrow that had fire on the tip of it, a flaming arrow, and you shot into the nest. The nest caught on fire. The mother bird was there. The mother bird flew away, but the mother bird was blinded by the fire. So that was marked against you. The hunter, just for target practice, set a whole thing, nest on fire. There happened to be 100 little birds in the nest who could not fly away. So they lost their lives. And the mother bird also turned out blind. And so this has been kept there. And now things have unfolded, and 50 lifetimes later, you are in a situation where you have 100 offspring, just like the 100 birds, and you are blind, just like the mother bird that got blind. You caused it, and so they have to pay for it. By the way, at the end of the Kurukshetra war, one person, one Pandava, the second, Bhima, killed all the 100 sons. Just like he, Dhritarashtra 50 lifetimes ago, was the one hunter that killed all the 100 birds. So then one Pandava killed all the 100 sons. And he, Dhritarashtra, had to also live a life where he was blind. So karma is intricate like that. And sometimes it happens right after one life, the next. But the point is, for Krishna consciousness, we get taken away from this repeated birth and death situation if we take the process seriously. Now, as far as the process goes, in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, he had 64 principles for community building. And one of the principles, so 64 of them, principle number 15. The principle itself says, an intimate devotee does not have any other desire besides following or serving the followers of Rupa Goswami. An intimate devotee does not have any other desire besides serving the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. This is what the Paramatma would very much like us to do. This is what Srila Prabhupada would like us to do. We have Sadhu Sangha, and Sadhu Sangha with who? With those who follow Srila Prabhupada, who is in the line of Sri Rupa Goswami and line of Lord Chaitanya. And that should be our desire. Serve the devotees who are following Sri Rupa Goswami. Serve ISKCON devotees. Doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter how long they've been in ISKCON, whether you've been there before them or came after them, that they are your senior or junior. No, whatever it takes to enthuse the other person, do it. Whenever you have an opportunity, a devotee is need something and you can assist, please do. Because every time you assist, you improve your relationship with that person. And not only that, Krishna is also happy that you are actually assisting that person, because then the person feels, yes, I'm in the right place. I like this particular community. I have help when I need, and people that relate to me well, and therefore I will keep coming around more and more and more. Many people, when they come new, they want to connect with somebody they're comfortable with. And they may immediately start the idea of, okay, let me just find someone that I can relate to. Sometimes they even think about it based on the body. A person with a few, one or two children may come and look for somebody with one or two children who is also there as a devotee. Say, oh, this person can understand me and what my challenges are and so on. So then they start talking to that kind of person and they become friends. But the bottom line is, it is in fact Krishna consciousness. That is the, it doesn't depend on how many children we bring to the temple. Still, people start off like that. And so we have to be careful on how we relate to people who come in so that they'll be more excited to stay. And when we assist them on things that they need, then the Paramatma will be very happy with us, because the Lord knows everything. As a matter of fact, when a person becomes a devotee, their spiritual credits or debits are not handled by Yamaraj anymore. Yamaraj is for karma, for people who are non-devotees. Our spiritual credits are handled by the Paramatma, the Super Soul, the Lord himself. And as my Guru Maharaj says, it keeps track of everything. The Super Soul keeps track. It doesn't miss a beat, doesn't miss anything. It keeps a very tight score, because we have been given an opportunity to perform Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, the highest form of relationship to God, to Krishna. Bhakti is not given so cheaply. Krishna Prema is not given so cheaply. But Lord Chaitanya has made it available just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and also relating well to devotees and performing devotional service. The important point, though, is even if you perform devotional service, it is critical that you relate well to devotees, not offend devotees, because offenses won't get us back. On our own, we may not have enough credits to go back home. Our guru-disciple relationship is extremely critical. And one of the reasons this movement is so unusual, as my Guru Maharaj has put it in one of his books, the guru-disciple relationship, because that is a very important point, because nothing we do actually makes us worthy of returning to the kingdom of God. We have to understand that. We can do some service, but to be worthy of getting back, we depend on the mercy of the Lord. We depend on the mercy of the Lord through the mercy of the spiritual master. Because the amount of sins that we've committed and the dullness that we have in Kali Yuga is so great. Nothing that we do can give us a full right to return. I have earned the right to return. No, we only do mercy. So we do the necessary, and we do our best in everything that we're given to do in devotional service. Then we are allowed at least to come to a point at which we can get sufficient grace and blessings from Guru, the pure agents of Krishna. Then their love and credits will complement what little we have. So we depend even on Guru's credits too. That is the mercy aspect. As for the whole of ISKCON now, many of us have heard that His Holiness Jayapataka Swami is praying every day for all the devotees. That is mercy of Guru. We cannot achieve success on our own, but we don't want to wait idly for the mercy either. So we have to just do on and on and on. service. For example, if a person is drowning and the lifeguards, the guru, will try to help, they will throw a rubber tube, even though the lifeguard is helping by throwing the rubber tube into the water. It is the person that has to reach out and grab the tube. Then they can sit on there. So some effort comes from us, but Guru is one with the rubber tube, making it possible for us to get out of this ocean of nations. So the Guru's role is extremely important. And the Guru without, out, is the spiritual master, and the Guru within is the Paramatma. And so the Guru without guides us, the Guru within also permits, but the Guru gives instructions through the Shastra and interpreting the Shastra and guiding us to live according to the instructions. And then we, as we do it, then the Paramatma will in fact excite us in Krishna consciousness, and then we'll be happy because now we're not plucking the fruit, the karma fruit, but we're turning our attention to service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is there for everyone. It's there for everyone because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma is in every living entity. But how we take advantage of that situation, the Guru within and the Guru without the spiritual master, that determines the extent of mercy that we're going to get so that we can go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So again, the translation for this particular text in Chaitanya Charitamrita is, as the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you for such a wonderful class. I mean, really, really down to earth, very sublime. Thank you so much for wonderful points. Would like to ask devotees, if you have any questions, any clarification, any takeaway, please do unmute yourself and share. I really appreciated the reminder and the point that you mentioned that we don't deserve to go back. And I think in Kali Yuga, because we feel so, what's the word? Entitled, I think that's the word, because we feel so entitled. I don't know if that's the right word I'm using, that we feel that, this is owed to us, like, I owe you money, so you better give it and pay me back, kind of a thing. And thank you for really reminding us how insignificant we are, that we can only hang on to the mercy of our spiritual master, and we really don't deserve this. It's only by the mercy of Guru. That was an amazing, amazing point. I really appreciated that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from this class. And there were some, but this was the biggest. Absolutely. Because sometimes we get so caught up in, oh, I can go back this lifetime. Oh, this must be my third lifetime. Like we just, be our own assessment police or whatever. But yeah, we are not qualified. That's so true. That's so true. Thank you. Any points from devotees? Any takeaways? Any would like to hear your reflections? Any questions? Any clarification? Please do unmute yourself and share. I have a question, and this just popped into my head right now. So because we know that we are not qualified to go back, it's only by the mercy of a spiritual master, and because we realize how insignificant, well, I hope, then one might say, then why all the work? Because the mind plays crazy games, especially because Kali Yuga is broken, then okay, if that's the case, then why? Why do all that?
The work in terms of the service, that we're not qualified to go back, and therefore
yeah, the work, Yeah, the work and so okay, I'm not qualified. Like if someone is gonna apply for a job, right? I'm just playing not devil's advocate because I've been asked this question by other devotees. I'm applying for a job and they're saying, why are you trying to get into Google? Why don't you just try for something smaller than why all that work? Why am I going to school for this? That kind of thing. But I'm thinking of it more on a spiritual sense.
So the effort that we put in attracts the mercy of the pure devotee to have us go back. And because that's the understanding we have to have. We put in effort in service, and even if it's inconvenience, you still do your very best. You put in your very best. And from that is what Guru notices. This is what the Paramatma notices. And the effort is, I am trying to show that I want to develop love for the Lord. We have forgotten how to love Krishna. If we had not forgotten how to love Krishna, we would do so many things without being told to do. We would want to do so many things because of our love for Krishna. But we have fallen out of love with Krishna because we wanted things for ourselves. And so we are in a situation that we've been put here in the material world to try to get those things. But by the mercy of the Lord too, when our intelligence kicks in, by the mercy of another devotee or guru, or however we found out about Krishna consciousness, then we know that we won't be happy here. And so try to go back. But then your question is, but we are not good at what we do. Why put in even the effort when we're not qualified to go back? Well, this Kali Yuga is not based on qualification. It's just based on the mercy. So you put in more effort to do things with good quality and do things without hesitating. Then we build that quality that the pure devotees have naturally. So this is what we're trying to get. That type of mentality. If it's for Krishna, I do. Krishna, anything for you. That's a good piece of like anything for you. So slowly, by doing things based on the instructions, which is called sadhana bhakti, you get to the point where it becomes a habit, and then you begin to like it, and it's all serving. You begin to like it means you begin to like serving the devotees and serving Guru and serving Krishna. And based on that, Paramatma will know everything that we've done. And because we are trying to serve devotees and Guru and Krishna, it is only a matter of time that Krishna will say, all right, you get to go back to Godhead. So no, we're not going to qualify by our own activities, not with this bodies that we're not pure. We already have so many things against us from karma from the past, and we got to this point. But this process itself has so much mercy built in that it is worth it, that everybody give it a try. And Lord Chaitanya has made the process of Krishna Prema actually simple to get by chanting the holy name. How long it takes depends on how purely we chant the holy name. But it is there for us to do it. And once you do it every day and think about Krishna all the time, like Rupa Goswami says to do, then we have a big chance of getting the mercy to go back. So we are mercy cases. And that's why, since the mercy is there, then we just do our best. Hare Krishna.
I like that, the ending, maybe a mercy cases. I love that. It's a good, very, very good reminder. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are mercy cases. Absolutely. Yes. Any questions from devotees? We have a couple of more minutes before we end the session. This wonderful, amazing topic. Any thoughts, any clarification, any, questions? If there isn't, I think this was an amazing class. That's going to give us a lot of food for thought. I feel a
Mercy,
lot of
Krishna
food for
Swami.
thought. Definitely something that we definitely one that we should, if at all possible, meditate all day. That we are mercy cases. And we have to be begging for mercy, like how beggars go from door to door and beg for alms. We are just mercy cases begging for mercy from all the devotees and our spiritual master. Quick reminder, we have our Bhagavad Gita class. Sorry, our Bhagavad Gita reading program this evening at 6 o'clock. We just finished chapter 5. We're into chapter 6, and the chapter 6 is entitled Dhyana Yoga. So please do join us at 6 o'clock for a wonderful reading and session where we have really nice discussion. It's really, really nice and sweet and very, very personal and also very informal. So please do join us. It's been a wonderful experience. At least for me, it's been a wonderful experience. And looking forward to seeing all of you this evening. Until then, have a wonderful day. Vanchakrapatibhyascha kripasindhabevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.